Welcome Home Radio Podcast. Are you looking to buy or sell your home? Our team is here with answers to guide you through the buying and selling process. We encourage you to ask questions. Please comment on this show or visit us at welcomehomeradio.net for more information. Bringing real estate, lending, and education together in one place, and to help you make the right home decision for you and your family.
And welcome to Welcome Home Radio, where real estate lending and learning comes together. It is April 15th. It is tax day. I hope you got your taxes done. And you can find us at welcomehomeradio.net, where you can put all your questions. Today we have a special guest. Hector, I just want to welcome you. Thank you for joining us today. Professional realtor extraordinaire with RE/MAX, if I've got all that right. And of course, our normal co-hosts, Jeff and Thom, the Thom and Jeff show. Thom and Jerry, it seems to work out better, but can you change your name, Jeff, maybe? But we're going to talk about chaotic market today. Hector's going to bring an insight to us from the realtor side that he has seen, because it is a chaotic market out there. I've never seen where over 33% of contracts signed go fault or fail or draw away, withdrawn after the process has started. It's just amazing. People are walking away. Hector, what are we seeing out there? And first off, please remind our audience who you're with and whatever else you care to share about your group.
Sure. I've been practicing real estate since 1999. So that's a good 27 years of practicing real estate. I originally come from Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I practiced 19 years there. I was a broker owner, so I headed up agents. I had a RE/MAX office there. And then I relocated here to Dallas, Texas. Now it's going to be close to 8 years. And love Dallas, love Texas. Consider myself a Texicano. So yeah, when you talk about I'm with RE/MAX, DFW Associates. My office is out of Frisco. And my team, DFW Home Finders. So that we're out here to serve. We help buyers and sellers, both in luxury to, anything that 300,000 to 400,000, people are looking there, or even lower, even investment, land, and some commercial. So we do a lot, and we're out there to serve. And that's our basic premise. And what we like to do is serve. So I don't really just worry about selling real estate, but serving people and their needs. So. But yeah, the market is crazy. We haven't seen a market like this ever. And that, kind of opposite of 2020, 21. Okay. And, we have a lot of people, they're talking about, oh, look, the interest rates are high, which they're not. They're they're below 30-year average, but they are high in comparison to price point and what people can buy due to that 2020 and 21. Right. But that's not the real story, because those are the two things that everybody's talking about. You hear all the national news talking about rates. You have them all talking about inventory and how inventory is up. Inventory is up, but it's not up enough. So let's talk about something that no one is talking about, and that is what we call absorption rate. Absorption rate is the time it takes to, if we were to stop listing properties today, how long would it take till all of the inventory is gone? All the houses are sold, okay? And that'll give you an indication on what kind of market we're in. So you tie that with your inventory, okay? How many houses are on the market, how long properties are sitting on the market, and your absorption rate. While your length of time on the market and inventory are matching, but our absorption rate is not. And so when you have absorption rate, you burn through your inventory in anywhere between 1 to 3.5 months, you're considered a buyer's market. Anything from 4 to 5 months, that's going to be a balanced market. Anything 6 months and above is going to be considered a buyer's market. Sellers have to give up everything in order to sell their property. Okay. So does that make sense what I'm talking about to you guys?
Well, you said buyer's market twice, so you might want to go back and describe that one more time real quick.
Sure. Okay. Did I say that? Okay.
Yeah, you said the first one's a buyer's market. You said the last one's a buyer's market.
I apologize. I did make a mistake. 1 to 3 months is 1 to 3.5 months is a seller's market.
Seller's market.
Seller's market. Okay. So thank you for correction on that. Florida.
I mean, you can't. I'm sorry. You've got 27 years. We're locked in. Caveman is when he wrote his first real estate deal. So
Yeah.
Understand, he's been around a while.
No, I appreciate it because.
And my wife says I better listen or I'm going to die. So.
No, I'm really happy that you did straighten me out, because that would be confusing to everybody what I just said. So definitely 1 to 3.5 months is a seller's market. And then we have the balanced market. After 6 months, we've got a buyer's market. So we've all seen what a seller's market, or actually, let's start off with this. We all seen what a buyer's market looks like to the extreme. You look at 2008, 2009, we had the crash. Sellers had to give up. Sellers were selling. I sold properties where the BMW that was in the garage was included in the deal. Okay.
Wow.
That's what sellers were doing to sell their property. Okay. Then we saw 2020, 21. What were the buyers doing? We had people were just going crazy, spending $100,000, $140,000 above list. We had 40 to 60 offers on one house. I mean, I had a spreadsheet. Trying to break that down was not fun either. But we would, and then now we're in this market. Now this market is different. So what we have today is we're showing a higher inventory, okay, higher days on market, but we're showing low absorption rate. Okay. So for example, if you look in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, right, if we look at our first quarter, okay, we currently have 4 months of inventory. Okay, that's considered entering into the balanced market. Okay, we have 75 days on market. Okay, and our median price is down 2.8%. What makes sense is our inventory amount and days on market. 75 days for a balanced market. A balanced market would be 45 days on market, not twice that. Okay, when we get into Plano. Now, Plano is going to be a little bit more extreme, and I think it's a great example. Example for Plano is 60 days on market. Our active listings are up by 1.8%. So there's 569 listings. So it's up. But our months of inventory is 2.7 months of inventory. 2.7 months of inventory should equal not 60 days on market. It should equal 14 days on market or less. You see what I'm talking about there? It's just it. So when we're talking about this, all it's saying, and I could go into other markets if do you guys want to hear about Frisco? I can pull up Frisco, which shows a little bit more like Dallas. It's 4.2 months of inventory, 67 days on market, and active listings are up by 13%. Okay. So what this is telling me, okay, it's telling me that we have a ton of buyers on the sidelines. They're afraid or they're holding on and they're not jumping in the market. But once they jump in the market, we're going to see this inventory chewed up. We're going to be back into multiple offer, not to the extremes of 20 and 21, but maybe more like 23. Okay. So we don't have the inventory we need. The news out there is wrong. Okay. People are sitting on the sidelines out of fear or waiting for interest rates to come down. The problem with that mindset for any buyer out there, I've been telling buyers, look, you need to buy now, because once interest rate comes down, in my opinion, if it got to 5.5, forget it. That inventory is going to get chewed up, and we're going to be in a problem area again with prices going up too rapidly again. So we need more building. We need more inventory. This is not what I call healthy. We're hearing a lot of news talking about how we're more in a healthy market. I disagree. Okay. We need more inventory.
Hector, say that last statement one more time. We need more what?
We need more inventory. We need more houses. We need more building, for sure. And that's why we're seeing a lot of apartment complexes getting built up and people are moving in, to apartments. Because if you look at what's going on today, the mortgage payment is higher than rent. So you can go rent for a place.
Keeping the buyers on the sideline. Help us understand the buyer's mindset of wait. Are they waiting for rates? Are they waiting for the prime opportunity? Are they waiting for prices to come down? or have they just been told a lot of stuff and they're waiting to see if it happens?
I think that they're listening to a lot of false news. Okay. We were in February, before the Iran conflict, we already started to see buyers starting to come out. Like they were ready to make a move. Then we had the Iran conflict, and all of a sudden everyone started backing out. And I think that's where, we're seeing a lot of people who are acting in fear, who are backing out of contracts. I personally have clients that were like, I'm ready to buy now. The Iran conflict came into play, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to wait till September. I'm going to wait till next year. Okay. So I think a lot of them are waiting to see what's going to happen with the Iran conflict. I also think that they're tied to rates. As we know, gas prices can be tied to interest rates in certain times. So we're seeing a little bit of that now. I guess you guys might agree that if we get a 5.5, most likely someone getting a VA or FHA, they might be closer to a 5. Would that be correct? Or 5.1 interest rate?
I would say 5.25 more than 5.
Yeah. Okay. So 5.25, I think what we're going to do is we're going to see a lot of people coming out at that point in time. If we get to 5.5, I don't know if we'll ever do that, but if we did, that could be good, bad. Okay. I don't want to see another huge hike in real estate prices. I always, real estate's always been a blessing because it's a good place to invest your money in very much in your home, long-term investment. And it was called long-term for a reason, because you were getting a compound interest about a 3 to maybe 4, maybe between 2.6 to about 4% per year. Nothing too drastic. But when we go to 10, 15%, we're just pricing out young people out of homes and not giving them the ability to start their families. So
which is shown, we've talked recently, which is shown with the age of the average first-time home buyer now. So it's what is it, 37 we said, Blair? Recently?
Yeah, it's about 37, 38. Yeah. I think the stats are different on that, but we can all probably agree it's between 36
monthly jump from one month to another. But yes, it's in the high 30s for the most part.
We need 20-year-olds to buy houses. That's what we need. We need 20-year-olds to be able to start their families. That's what we need.
We closed a couple of those lately, but they were YouTubers and they were paying cash. Their social media, 23 years old, buying an $800,000 home for cash. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Let's go back to that. You want 20-year-olds buying homes. I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, 20-year-olds are not having babies. They are on. I mean, we are on American decline for the last 2.5 years for the first time in a long time. And the bottom line of it is they're not having children until later. So having a home, they've been sold whether it's a bill of goods or not, lease, and I like it, lease, and I have a mobile lifestyle. I can travel. I can have more. I mean, there's so many different things that they've been told instead of the American dream.
Yep. It's true.
And so
that is part of the story, for sure. Big part of the story.
It's all because of this right here.
Yeah. But at the same token, if housing affordability was there and you could buy a house, then you start thinking about the family, right? Because you still have a lot of, I realize that not everybody's, especially the youth, they're not getting married like they should. In my opinion, you should get married. But you have, young people moving in together. That when you own your home, that's the beginning of your family, right? I mean, that's when you can start going, okay, I can have a family now. It's security. It's the foundation to be able to have a family. And if we can't do that in our 20s, we're robbing our youth from having that opportunity to start their families younger, And, one of the things that I did do, and I don't want to go too much of a side note, but I have written to President Trump about using Fannie Mae funds to offer 1% and 2% loans or to give 1% to 2% loans to first-time home buyers only. And I mean, actual first-time homeowner. Okay. And
wow.
not FHA. It has to be your first home. You're not going to do this again. And if we could do that, we can get some 20-year-olds, people in their 20s to buy a home.
You get those sellers inflating their prices beyond belief.
Yeah. No. We've got to, we're not going to be able to control prices because demand is there, supply and demand. Other than, like I said, more inventory. I believe that that's a big issue that we have. We don't have enough inventory, but the builders aren't going to build if they're not selling, right? So they're going to slow it down. And then when it picks up, then they just take advantage of that situation. And we saw what they did in 2021. They completely did that. So what we need to figure out the inventory issue, and we need to get costs in line so our 20-year-olds can buy a home. Now, I'm one of those people, I'm totally against giving anything away. But if we can give them an opportunity to get a loan at a reasonable rate so they can afford the house and start their family, I'm all about that. Right?
How do you, it's an interesting question that's come up. How would you see, and how does anybody on here see, if the draft goes in place for service, how does that affect our real estate market?
Wow. Great question.
That's a good question. It's not something I've thought about.
Well, I think it would really stir the fear factor. We keep talking about fear, and fear is an unmeasurable type of situation. When you have a war, that young folks and my new son-in-law will be eligible for a draft.
Yep.
If he were to be taken away from the income that he has and be required to relegate back to a military income type situation,
yep,
it's not going to be encouraging growth in their family size, much less will it encourage them to maybe retain the house my daughter bought several years back. But I know my daughter's pretty sensible about ownership of house. And so
yeah,
she's, I mean, that's a priority for her before she got married.
Yeah.
So it's all that part that you emotionally have to deal with. It's really impossible to measure in quantitative type factors, because if the war stopped today, you're still on a 3-month, 4-month, 5-month, maybe 6-month trajectory.
Right.
Things to get kind of back into a normal situation. Every day you go to the pump and gas is near $4 a gallon. That's not going to cure overnight.
And not going to the pub as often, that's for sure.
That's a huge deterrent, positive approach to get rid of fear.
Right.
Well, everyone, way before the war started, I mean, more than just this year, affordability has been such a topic in our industry and for everybody. But this only increases that how many fold, like you said, when you go to the pump.
Yeah.
And that's just that's just the biggest example, obviously.
I've got to drive to Fort Worth today, and I'm worried about what I'm going to find to get back as far as gas.
Well, I think I personally feel like, or think that the pressure on the gas, and I believe the gas price is going to come down. I believe this is all going to get wrapped up tight, and it will move on from it. The United States has become a I don't even say 1 year, but 3-month news click, like what you're talking about, clickbait. That's what we've become. I mean, it seems like every year we have a new protest or a new issue, and now we have the Iran issue. That'll be gone. It'll be something else. And why I'm leading into this is because I've had a hard time myself in understanding why people are so fearful about a war that is halfway around the world from us. And we obviously have all the petroleum that we need here. It's not affecting us daily. We still go to work. We have no bullets flying in our neighborhoods. We have no bombs being dropped. So it kind of just, I'm like, why are we in fear? We shouldn't be in fear.
Let me ask you 2 questions for that. That's a very good topic. One, we are energy efficient. We are an energy exporter, not an importer.
Right.
But 2, from a military standpoint, the concern we have in this country is that for 4 years, we let over 20 million people in without vetting. We don't know what cells are here and have been either activated and or could be activated in whatever city, as well as copycatters. Now, why is our gas prices going up when we're energy independent?
Yep.
They're taking advantage and they're blaming it on the war, but everybody wants to assume it's that, but it's not.
Right.
It's pure
Okay.
greed on the
Yep.
part of distributors and part of whomever, they are going down that road with
Yep.
energy prices that high or higher
Yep.
than they're normally. The bottom line is, I like what the words y'all said earlier. Are we going to allow fear to control us?
Right.
Or are we going to logically think through this? As I'm trying to teach economics in college class, and these kids are trying to understand, I said, look, there's knowledge and there's wisdom. The knowledge is to know that a tomato is a fruit, not a vegetable.
Right.
The wisdom is to know not to put it in a fruit salad.
Right.
How do you apply what we know? How do you know the difference? I mean, if you look at a situation, have you asked all the right questions, or are you still not knowledgeable and you're going with whatever's being told in the news? So the fear, yes, Jeff, this thing, but it causes more fear and it alienates. I mean, I couldn't believe it. My students average almost 9 hours a day on this. 9 hours.
That's horrible.
I don't even do that in my business. 2.5 is my number, average day. And I'm just, yes, they get inputs from all this stuff. And that's why, have y'all seen where the Fed is really scared? They're talking to bankers about this new AI coming out that is a security risk AI that looks at all security risks with banks. And they're finding major issues with, it's called Mythos. Mythos. And I will tell you, it's got the banking CEOs along with the Fed chairman. They're making a big note about it. So I just think we are over inundated, or we don't know what data to ignore, and fear has become the mainstay instead of, okay, that's a data point, but it's not, like you said, it's not affecting me now. Why am I allowing that fear to impact me?
You're right about that and what to ignore. I can tell you that I keep hearing that people are getting their news from TikTok. And who owns TikTok? So, but
was it sold? I thought it was sold.
I don't know. I don't even know who owns TikTok anymore, to be truthful. But still, to get your information from TikTok is not a very good source, right?
I can see Mr. Joe owns it.
Yeah. Who owns it? I'm sorry?
Elon Musk.
Oh, Elon Musk owns TikTok.
He owns X. He doesn't own TikTok.
I'm sorry, right. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Well, you're going back to buyers and buyers.
Right. TikTok, no owner out there is China.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It must be the sunshine on his face. It's driving me mad a little bit.
I can't make it go away. It's terrible, but I have sunshine in my house and I can't get rid of it.
I'm sorry, I have to do some real quick. There we go.
All right.
So yeah, I think that, back to what I was talking about, in the end, the absorption rate is a big indicator and people should be paying attention to it. And, more people,
Hector, just like we all, of course, we've got our host Blair that we're on this show with, but I know quite a few other LOs that you chat with, and they have from 12, I've heard from 12 up to like 65 people who are approved, and they're just circling, like you said earlier. So it's not that people aren't interested at all; they're just not committed. Because when I have that many people,
other LOs, Jeff, I'm
sorry. It just happens sometimes.
Hey,
I didn't say I like them.
Well, Hector, final point before we close it up here. What is it we can do? What can buyers and sellers consider the most in this situation right now?
In today's market, of course, sellers always have to consider their list price. Look, we have agents. You got like in markets, you have good and bad agents. And, agents, the really good ones are going to market your property, and there's many avenues in how we do that. But in the end, the price is the price, right? You can offer some concessions. And the biggest thing that sellers make mistakes in is doing things like if they know the carpet needs to be replaced or cleaned, but they want to wait till they get an offer. Well, you got to do it beforehand. Same thing with any repairs, disrepairs. You've got to make your property shine. You've got to make sure when you walk up, pretty flowers in the front, paint looks good. You walk in the door. I could go on a whole different, we can do a whole different session on what buyers want today, but I'll just end it with this. What buyers want is something as close to new as possible. Okay. That's what they want. So that's all really sellers can really do.
Across all demographics? Is that first, second, third, fourth?
Yep.
So it's everything.
You don't want me to start on this, do you?
I was going to say, what happened to the daydreamers, the people that I can come in and paint it and fix it and da.
You don't want me to keep going, do you? Because I can start on that too. That could be a whole different discussion. But no, today, maybe we'll have another discussion on that. But for right now, just know that the price is number one, and the way it looks are tied. Okay, so the house has to look really good. When you walk in, paint's got to look great. Got to be as new as possible. I don't think that the sellers should renovate a complete house, but they want it to look good, well painted. Fresh paint is usually the big thing. You want landscaping to look good. You want the house to look like it was very well maintained and taken care of, and nothing scary. Okay, the big scary stuff are cracks and paint, scrape paint. Your dog was chewing on a ledge, stuff like that scares people, makes them think there's something wrong with the house.
Of course, this is for the top dollar price that you're wanting.
Yeah. If you want top dollar, if you move down, you'll start working with investors. As far as buyers are concerned, I think they're making a mistake if they're sitting on the ledge right now. Right now is the opportunity to get what they want, the price that they want. They can always refinance later. But right now is their opportunity, because if those interest rates come down, and I think they will, this president and his administration want the rates down. When they come down, you're just gonna have competition. Now you might end up buying something you didn't want. Okay?
I think well said. I agree with your statements of when and where, and understand he's not a lender, but he's exactly right in what he's saying. So great time. Thank you, Hector, for sharing with us about the chaotic market we're in and what you're seeing out there. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I said that was some awesome information.
Yes, it was. It was awesome information, and we will bring you back again. Okay, we'll go back. Right. We'll chase some rabbit trails with you. So
let's go.
Hey, again, it's tax day. Make sure your taxes are in, or your extension. I know CPAs are going nuts. So God bless. Take care. Thank y'all for joining us. I'm Blair Thomas.
And I'm Thom Home.
I'm Jeff Duffy.
Thanks for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome Home Radio production provided by Lunatic Digital. Check the listing of this podcast for the links to our sponsors. And don't forget to like, share, and follow us on social media. Visit welcomehomeradio.net for more information. This was a Lunatic Digital production. Visit lunaticdigital.com for all your digital needs.